What do you got? You wanna add anything? You wanna move on? Where do you want to start?
Let's start with the no longer dumpster fire San Jose.
All right, well, let's hold on there.
All
We're not going to go that far. We're going to go ahead and say they are on an uptick for now.
Okay.
But I've been saying it since day one of MLS. Daniel Vega is not the goalkeeping answer in San Jose. We've talked and talked and talked and tweeted and tweeted and tweeted. And Almeida finally heard us, I guess, and understood that this guy's not that good. Now, we'll break into it a little bit here, but let's just start by looking at the record, because it isn't just him. We know that, and we'll break it down to why. But just looking records with and without him. In the year 2020, non-MLS's back tournament, San Jose is 2 wins, 6 ties, 5 losses. Or is it? Yeah, I think it's either 2 wins, 6 losses, 5 ties, or the other way around. Let's count it up real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I just can't count. So San Jose are, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's supposed to be a 4. They are 2 wins, 6 losses, and 4 draws. That is the record we're looking at here. With Daniel Vega in goal, they are 0 wins, 3 draws, and 6 losses. With the savior, which is kind of a joke, and we'll talk about why in a minute, but JT Marcinkowski, the savior of San Jose, he is 2 wins, 0 losses, and a draw. And those 2 wins came against both LA teams, which have had San Jose's number for a while. So really impressive performances. And they got a point off of Portland, which is another team that usually just knocks them around. So is JT Marcinkowski the answer? Before we go to that, let's look at the goals against. Vega in goal conceded 34 goals in 9 games, which, as I think we mentioned last episode, that was on pace to be worse per game's goal against than FCC in their inaugural season, which is absurd because we know how bad that back line was. However, when they put JT in goal, he's only conceded 3 in 3. Not bad. 1 goal a game, and you got 7 points out of it. But for anybody who's actually watched San Jose, good for you. That's kind of tough to do. But you understand that he isn't actually the reason that they did. You know, he wasn't keeping 7, 8 shots out. I think he's made 4 saves in 3 games. And one of those games when they won 2-1, he only had 1 shot on target, and he didn't make the save. So it's not necessarily him being better, but it's him being different. And what I mean by that is, you're a football player. I'm a football player. We understand that if a goalkeeper has a gaff, you're just going to go from here whoosh, right through the floor. You don't want to play anymore. Nothing works. And I've made those mistakes as a goalkeeper, and I've had them come over to me and say, we lost the game 5-3, but the reason we lost the game 5-3 was because in the first 30 minutes, 30 seconds, you tried to come out, grab a ball at somebody's foot, and he just went through you. And that's a soft goal, and we, we lost the game that way. And I go, oh, yeah, you're right. So you work on that stuff. But it's not necessarily Vega versus Marcinkowski. It is just the presence of somebody else. When you have a goalkeeper who makes a mistake, the game itself is kind of tough to play. But you go back out, and the next one you're there. If you make that mistake 4, 5, 6 times in a season, anytime you're playing, you're like, oh, well, this shot's probably going in because he made that mistake 7 times already and whatever. So just swapping, and we understand that San Jose's tactical adjustments in the back are god-awful. We know that. The man-to-man marking is awful. It doesn't work on most teams. And we did that tactical breakdown already. And that leads a lot to what Vega looks bad on paper for, right? But we understand that Vega also has those mistakes, as mentioned before. Like I said, if you do it time and time again, nobody's going to want to play halfway through the match. So changing that face and goal, it just kind of gives a spark that, it makes you a little bit more optimistic. Okay, he's not Vega, So, we don't know if he'll make that save. And if you make the first save, it's like, okay, this guy can do it. Makes the second save, okay, gets beat on a third shot, whatever. We'll get back from it. And you build from there. And it's that change that's really important here. It's not necessarily Marcinkowski's better. He's just different. You could have put in anybody. You could have put in Rossano. You could have put in the 15-year-old if you wanted to, just to change who you're looking at. Like I said, the title of this segment was supposed to be Marcinkowski being the savior of San Jose, and that's kind of in air quotes, right? Because he's not necessarily the hero or the savior, as much as he is just a person doing a job to change the face. The way I put it is that he hasn't been a hero, but he hasn't done enough to make himself a villain. And the way that San Jose has been running, that's kind of all you need to do to be successful right now. You just need a little bit of change of pace, because Almeida can work with that. But if you don't have players who don't want to play for you, he can't work with that. So once you put somebody in, you give them all a little bit of life, a little bit of pep. Let's get going. He can play with that. So that's the way I see that, and I'm interested to see the future, because I'm not sure if he'll stay there. I don't know if it's just a temporary break, but numbers don't lie, right? And when you're beating teams that you've been beating, or getting points off of teams that you've been getting points off of, it's something you kind of want to keep pushing. So I would absolutely vote for Mr. Marcinkowski to hold that line and stay in that box. But Almeida's been crazier before.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, and I haven't seen a whole lot of San Jose, but I like a bunch of their players. So if he can lock down that goalkeeping position, and it looks like however much of an impact he can have if they continue to get results like this, that's one fewer position that you don't have to worry about now. Like, I like some of their midfielders, like Christian Espinosa is solid, like Alanis is fairly good back there, and then you obviously have Wanda, who scores every other game because he's a magician. So like they have the pieces that like you can kind of build off of, but with 8 games left, I think you ride him the remainder of the season and then kind of reevaluate going into next year when hopefully things are a little bit more normal.
Yeah, and that's actually a really good point, right? Like you got 8 games left. You've won 0 games with the first guy, and the next guy's got you your only 2 wins of the season. What's there to lose, right? You could pick up another 24 points, which will put you close. I don't know. I got to see where are we here?
If they go 8-0 to end the year, I will buy a San Jose jersey.
You heard it here first. So they're only 9th. They're only one spot out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Which I didn't realize. I didn't realize we're that close.
Yeah.
And they're 1 point.
The West is a mess.
Yeah, I forget how easy it is to make playoffs. But you're looking at literally, you would need to win half your games, because Dallas, Colorado, RSL, they're all going to fall down. Galaxy are not a threat. And even honestly, even everything in the West is tight. That last spot is going to be open until the last day of the season. So you actually have a lot to lose now that I look back at it. And you have to make the right decision. I know numbers don't lie, and I know you have whatever you want, but this guy's got you wins against the 5th place team, the bottom of the bottom of the league or whatever. But you have to go with the hot hand, and there's no question about that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We'll keep an eye on them as the season comes to an end. They definitely could be one of the teams. Like, it would take a little bit of luck for them to sneak into that last spot. But if they do, great. If they don't, I don't necessarily think it's the end of the world, only because of the season we've had. Like, if this was a normal season, I would say missing the playoffs is way bigger of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But because it was a shortened season, you could have made the argument that had the season gone fully, like, they would have been in a stronger spot to maybe clinch that last spot, or maybe one higher. So we'll see.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think it'd be a lot of luck. I think if they just hit their stride at the right time, I think RSL will probably fall out. I think Colorado, shockingly, will fall out. FC Dallas has never been impressive to me. I still don't understand FC Dallas is literally the team that you can ask me at any point how they're doing in the league, and I will not know. I genuinely will never know if they're doing well or not. They could be top of the table, which they've been before. They could be bottom of the league, which they've been before. I could not tell you where they were.
Yeah, and this is not to get off on a tangent, but FC Dallas is one of those teams I think that people around the league look at and want them to do well because of their model. So they do pretty much everything the way you would kind of want to build a team. Like their academy is arguably the best in the league. Like their first team is made up of pretty much, almost exclusively homegrown talent and with a few bits and pieces there. Like you kind of want to be that team. So I think that's why they get a little bit, not necessarily like hype, but I think it's why people kind of put them on a little bit higher of a pedestal than consider like a Galaxy or whatever.
Right. And I think genuinely FC Dallas is one of those teams that unless you're like their rival, like Houston or whatever, nobody hates FC Dallas. Nobody looks at it and is like, yeah, I can't wait to see FC Dallas. They're not the Galaxy. They're not LAFC. They're not the Sounders. Right. Nobody looks at them and is like, oh man, I hope they're Dallas, Yeah, we won't go too far in a tangent. Maybe we'll talk about Dallas, most forgettable teams next week. I don't know. Yeah. But no, like I said, I think it's really really interesting that way that they make one change and it automatically just sparks.
That's all you need sometimes.
Yeah, it is. It's all you need this time. And I wonder, like I said, if I'm Almeida, I keep him and I let him ride. But we shall see.